Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of NRL Nostradamus. Today, we will be previewing the Knights, the Cowboys, and the Eels. Big episode installed. Dicko, how you feeling, mate? The season's getting close. Preseason trials this weekend.
Diz, I'm great, mate. Like, how good is it, footy this weekend? Trial games. Not long now. Countdown is on.
Yeah. I'm personally heading out to Shark Park to watch Penrith play the Raiders this Saturday night, hoping to see a bit of young talent on display, but hopefully a few, by all reports, team lists are coming out very soon. They're going to be naming a pretty strong side for the teams playing this weekend with Vegas coming
Yep.
up.
hmm
They really need to prepare themselves for round one, which is literally less than a month away.
Yeah, they should be strong teams actually this weekend for those
Yeah.
those
Look, I've
clubs.
heard that James Fisher-Harris, Luke Metcalf, Tamare Martin, Charles Nickel-Clockstad, Murata Niokore, they're all playing for the Warriors this
Mm.
weekend. So it should be a good one. Right, before we get into today's episode, Dicko, we do want to shout out our major sponsor, Create Merchandise. We're wearing the gear, the Nostra outfits, the cap. We've also got hoodies. We're wearing the tees right now. Great gear. If you've got a sporting club, if you've got a corporate business, whatever you need, they've got you covered in the way of merchandise and apparel. Give them a shout out. It's cr8.sydney. If you want to check out their website, drop our name. They will look after you. Now, Dicko,
Mm.
the Newcastle Knights, I'm really interested to talk about these guys and to hear your opinion on where you think they're going to finish. As far as their strengths go for this upcoming season, we know that, KP, everything revolves around KP, but where are the Knights sitting currently in terms of their strengths and also where are their weaknesses? Because I've got a list as long as Captain Cook's scroll here.
um, with the Knights, it's really funny because they finished eighth last year, so they were
Mm.
actually they made the finals with pretty much a similar squad. They haven't really signed a big name. They've let a couple of good players go. So I would say that their squad is about the same as what it was last
Mm.
year. Definitely hasn't improved the squad. I don't
No.
think.
Well, they've lost Saifidi and R.A. Tuala. They're probably the only really, I guess, let's call them main players. So they might be a bit light on in the front row.
But they really haven't replaced them with any
No. And
big
Leo
player.
Thompson's off to the Dogs next year. So where's his
Mm.
headspace going to be?
Yeah, so in terms of I don't know. They're a really hard read because if you look at them on paper last year as well, you wouldn't have thought they were going to make the eight, and they did. So,
Mm.
do I think they're going to make the eight? Looking at their team right now, no. I would have them down the sort of around the bottom four area.
Yep.
But with the Knights, we know that everything Newcastle does revolves around the fullback, and if the fullback's not fit and doesn't play the majority of the season, I don't give him much hope at all.
Yeah.
But
Well,
in saying that, they've got some good players.
yeah,
Their
Brad
centers their
Montez,
centers are world
Shane
class.
Gagai. Yeah.
Yeah, but the halves are a shambles. They can't work out who they
Oh.
want to play halfback. They don't
Do you
know at
think
5'8".
that's I've got a question for you. Do you think that onus is upon the halves because yeah, they haven't performed? Or is it on the coach? What do you
Okay,
put
so
their
has
halves
he
situation
given?
in?
I'm going to fly a question back at you. Has he
Yeah.
given the halves enough of an opportunity together? Like, has he pick and stuck with a 7 and a 6?
Well, what I will say is, and I could be completely wrong here. I don't have the stats and analytics in front of me, just going off pure gut feel and what I can remember from last season. Jackson Hastings and Tyson Gamble were the halves and mainstay for majority of the first half of the season,
Mm-hmm.
where they probably played their best footy. They were in and around the eight, even pushing towards the top four for a lot of the
Mm.
early part of the season. And when the form slump happened, they looked at their halves, they dropped them, and it was just a circus, literally a merry-go-round of the halves combinations. And they never really picked that back up until the end of the season when I believe it was Cogger and Gamble that sort of finish the season off. As far as I'm concerned, I think they're 2 6s. I don't think either of them has a strong kicking game. I think that's what they need. I think that's what they lacked with Jackson Hastings. If I'm the coach and I don't know what goes on behind closed doors, I'm playing Jackson Hastings at 7 and I'm playing Jack Cogger at 6 and I'm letting Gamble come off at 14 or not even really playing 18th man.
Well, see, I've got an issue with the 9 and the utility because the Brayley Crossland combination, they're both big minute players. So
well,
they're
Crossland
both.
was playing in the halves at one point as well,
Well,
wasn't he?
Crossland also played for New Zealand. So, like, if I would argue that both of them are 80-minute players, so why are you playing both of them? And they're
Yeah,
both 9s. So that's bizarre.
yeah.
So you kind of got to choose one or the other with them.
It
I
makes
feel
you
like.
wonder because there's a few teams, and we'll talk about one of them soon, who's in desperate need of an 80-minute half.
Mm.
So, yeah, look, I don't know. I don't know whether it's look the coach, as far as I'm concerned, outside Trent Robinson, who does have runs on the board. But if we have an even playing field here at the start of the year, which coach is under the most pressure? I would say the 3 teams that have a squad that is depleted slash more than likely will finish towards the bottom half of the ladder is that in the Roosters, the Eels, and the Knights. Just purely based on their squad and
Yeah, well, that's it. We're just looking at
comparison to
their
last year versus
We're just looking at their
this current
squad right
season.
now,
Yeah.
and yeah, I agree completely.
So
They've got
if they don't perform well,
yeah,
surely they're on the chopping block. And you're right. The Knights did great to finish where they did last year. And even the year before, they stormed home and sort of clinched that spot. Nelly went on a run to make the grand final. But I don't know.
I mean, to your point as well, like their weakness, and I know you've got some weaknesses written down, but for me, it's I'm looking at their squad of 30 and their top 17 to what we think their top 17 will be, and then I don't see. I mean, these are all good footballers because they're in a top
Yeah.
30 squad of an NRL team, but are they? If they get injuries, are they going to be able to cover them consistently? And I don't. By looking at these players, I don't think they
Well,
will be
look,
able to
this is
do
a
that.
prime example of a club that's clearly got no idea what they're doing. David Armstrong came into the squad when KP got injured. They won,
Mm,
I think, 4 out of those 5 games. Fletcher Sharp, in most people's opinion, is definitely a better player than David Armstrong.
yep.
But David Armstrong then signs over in the Super League out of the blue, and Fletcher Sharp comes in, kills it,
Yeah.
and is now gone from fullback to class on the wing to now
Yeah.
apparently maybe playing 6. Can, can someone explain that to me?
That's what I mean. I don't think there's a real vision of where they want this team. They've got too many
Mm.
guys that are under long contracts that they can't move.
Yeah, it's bizarre. But look, there is one player that I will mention who no one really knows about or has spoken about, and it's Hopwood, not Hopgood, Hopwood. He is rumored to maybe get a crack this season, given the, I guess, forward pack is pretty light on. You just mentioned looking at that 17, it looks a bit slim pickings there, but there's a player with surname Hopwood who's touted to be a very good up and coming forward. He's only played one New South Wales Cup game, which is really interesting that he's been sort of elevated into training with the top 30 this year.
Mm.
I think you'll see him get a crack, and I think you'll see him
Well,
do quite well.
I mean, to your point, he's re-signed to 2028, so they've definitely earmarked him for the future
And the
if they've
Knights
given
have
him that
great juniors.
contract. Yeah,
Like
yeah,
they've
that's
got
right.
great juniors. Like you've got Will Price. Like why'd they sign Will Price
Oh,
when he's not even playing? Like what's the point? Like why sign players
I,
who don't play?
I don't know,
Like
mate. I can't. Matt Arthur. I don't.
I'm not leaving. They must have a awesome sales pitch to players coming over because
It's just a
there's
favour
no
of the
way
beach.
I'm not leaving the English Super League as Will Price to come play New South Wales Cup.
Well, it's raining and cold as opposed to living on the beach.
Well,
That's it,
that
mate.
that might be the attraction. That's it. So Bottom four, you think? You think bottom four?
Yeah, bottom four.
Bottom four. Well, look, before I jump to conclusions here, they play the Sharks and the Panthers twice.
Yeah, they're in all sorts.
That's not ideal. They do play the Dolphins, Raiders, Warriors, Tigers, and Eels twice, which is quite nice. No Thursday night games. Majority of their games actually are on Sunday. So I don't know if that's a McDonald Jones thing, but there's only 4 games at home on Sunday. So who knows? Let's be honest. Are they getting prime time viewing audience? Probably not.
No.
So yeah, I've got them firmly cemented in the bottom 4.
Yeah.
Maybe even wooden spoon.
So I've got them. Yeah, I'm like you. I've got them bottom 4. But what I will say is, I reckon, just because of the Kalen Ponga factor, they will upset a few of the good sides throughout the season.
Yeah, yep, 100%. And credit where credit's due, the Novocastrians, they're faithful fans.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
pretty much
Yeah.
deck out that stadium every week. You know, it's an 18th man in itself when you've got a crowd like that.
Yeah.
One player, if Fletcher Sharp does move into that halves position, which apparently he came through the halves as a juniors. That's why it's sort of been thrown around, and it's been spotted training there as well. We've seen a few reports come out about that. But James Schiller has come across from the Canberra Raiders, and I thought he did really well in some of the games that he played for Canberra this year. Pacey, well built. I saw him play New South Wales Cup. He's definitely better than a New South Wales Cup player. If he can get that wing spot, look, they could be shaping up with something like Jack Cogger, Fletcher Sharp, KP, Gagai, Bradman Best, James Schiller, Greg Marzu. It's not too bad if they're all improving and firing all cylinders. But if they get, mate, 2 injuries,
Yeah, that's right.
like,
Yeah.
see you later. And if
Yeah.
KP gets injured again, like,
And I mean, I must admit, I'm hoping that he plays a full season, because I really feel like the
yeah,
NRL needs him to play a full season. So, I mean, if he plays a full season, as I said, I don't see them making the 8, even if he does play a full season, but they will upset some of the bigger teams and some of the teams more fancied against them, and they'll make it difficult for most teams to beat them. I can't
yeah.
see him getting blown out week in, week out. But yeah,
Let,
I don't hold much hope for the Knights and the Knights fans this season.
bit left field. KP fully fit, Reece Walsh fully fit. Who do you want to play for Queensland?
Oh, you're killing me. You did this to me last week.
I love it. I love it.
Kalen Ponga.
Kalen Ponga.
Yep.
Reason? Any particular reason?
Oh, nah, I've got nothing.
No.
I just
Look,
flipped the coin off screen.
Mate, I actually agree with you. I agree with you there. Purely on the fact that Kalen Ponga has been there and done it. So has Reece Walsh.
Actually, no, I'll give you a reason. Yeah, go on.
But I feel like Reece Walsh is more prone to errors and not handling the pressure.
That was literally what I was just about to say. I reckon you're going to get a couple of less errors out of Ponga than what you would out of Walsh. But yeah, I'd be interested to see. I mean,
look, the
one of them's going to be there.
Knights do have a favourable draw in terms of travel as well. They don't have to travel as much as most of the other teams, and they only have one 5-day turnaround. So, look, for the Knights fans, remain hopeful. But if you achieve anything more than the bottom 4, I think it's a positive season, heading in the right direction for the club. Now, Cowboys, Dicko. Before we get into the Cowboys, shout out to Grip Socks. That's GRIPZSOCKS. We have a whopping discount available. Use our code NOSTRA20 at checkout to receive that discount. Great socks, fit beautifully. Certainly help me when I'm playing sport, but I am getting old, so we do see a few players running around in them. Particularly, half of the Tigers team actually wear these socks.
Yeah. More professional players and athletes are using these type of socks, so definitely get involved and jump on Grip Socks.
If you're into your Pilates, you're going to need them. Otherwise, you'll slip over like I did. All right. Moving on to the Cowboys. Now, Dicko, I am on the fence big time with the Cowboys. I don't know whether they're coming or going. Are they going to improve? Are they not? They scare me. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about this actually yesterday when we sort of come up with the teams that we were going to do for this week.
Mm,
And the Cowboys, I was a bit, and I obviously we don't want to agree with each other all the time because it's
yeah.
really important to have our own opinion. But I think I've talked myself into. I don't think they're going to go as well as what they did last year.
Well, let's read out the signings they've made versus who they've lost. So they've signed John Bateman, who's a bit of a last minute signing, which is a blessing in disguise given the heel and Lukey injury. Carl Lawton from the Seagulls, Kai O'Donnell, who's previously played in the NRL, coming back from the Super League, and Jackson Paulo. It's not
Mm.
that exciting, is it?
No, I mean they're not
They've
world class
lost
players.
Kyle Felt, top try
Mm.
scorer last year, and for 8 out of the past 10 seasons for the club. Fini Fuiaki, one of their younger upcoming players,
Yeah, good player.
gone. Valentine Holmes, their top point scorer and goal kicker,
Hmm.
gone. Chad Townsend, gone. There is a
Mm.
couple of other players, probably not worth noting. No offense, but look, there's some big losses in there.
Mm.
It's no secret. Drinky and Dearden are the keys, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's going to revolve around those two. I've got concerns around there, albeit I think they're going to be good players. They're centers and the experience that the centers have. Like
Yep.
losing Val Holmes is, I feel like a really big loss,
Mm.
just with his experience. The forward pack is probably going to match it with most forward packs, I would say.
Yep.
I don't, I must admit, I didn't like the John Bateman signing. I don't know how many clubs he's come to in the NRL and ended up out the back door a couple of weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he played his best footy at Canberra, went back to the Super League, and has come back a shadow of the player he was. Yeah, I don't like that signing at all. I feel like they would have
Mm-hmm.
been better off going with a younger player than signing him. I mean, clearly they probably signed him for a bit of backup, and he's been put in there now because of the injury to
Yep.
Lukey. But yeah, I don't. I'm not. If
The
I'm look,
outside backs are a bit slim.
I mean, they're slim to a point of if there's an injury, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I,
I mean,
I completely agree
inexperienced,
with
and
you.
there's been a bit of chat
Inexperience.
about good, like Robert Darby, who's, sort of being touted to maybe take one of those wing spots. They do have Braden Burns. Let's not sleep on him. Um, he's a good player in his day. Unfortunately, really injury prone. Jackson Purdue coming through the grades, touted as, a combination between a 6'7" fullback and centre. Looks
Mm,
like he might grab that centre spot. Laybot coming back from injury. Tom Chester's done his ACL again.
yeah.
Helam Lukey ACL again. This is the part I really want to point out, Dicko. So,
Yeah.
no secret here. They're obviously going to be travelling more than most clubs that are in
Yep.
North Queensland. That's understandable. This is the part and the clincher for me. And I've actually put bottom half of top eight, but I'm going to throw it out there. They're not making the eight this year, mate. They are not making the eight. Storm twice, Sharks twice, Broncos twice, Manly twice, Panthers twice.
Yeah, and part of my reasoning for my sort of I'm not sure was just I'm looking at the ladder from last season and I don't know the teams around them and above them. I don't know whether they can beat them if they're
Mm.
because we expect a
Well, you
few
would have
teams.
lent towards them a little bit, and that North Queensland home ground fortress factor was a thing
I
at
mean,
one
I,
point.
I still think it's a thing.
Yeah,
Especially early on in the season, no one likes going to North Queensland when the humidity is still high. So
true.
I feel like that's definitely a positive for them. But we expect every year some teams from outside the eight to move up to inside the eight, and we're expecting that, right?
Yeah, so who's going to drop out?
Who's going to drop out? Correct. I mean, I think there's one team that I pretty much can, or two teams that I can say categorically will drop out. I feel like, but I
Mm.
also think there's more than two teams that are going to come up into
Yeah.
the eight, right? So,
Mm.
and just the Cowboys, are they going to be able to beat the Bulldogs, Cronulla, Penrith, Melbourne, Manly? Are they going to be able to beat these teams consistently? And then I feel like the Broncos are going to be able to beat the Broncos twice. They may not be
Yeah.
able to beat the Dolphins. Titans even.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't
they play
know.
the
Like,
Titans and the Dolphins and the Broncos all twice the Derby games. So,
I feel like they've got a squad for the next sort of 5, 6 years, and I feel like this season there may be a little bit of pain.
well, there's
Uh,
got to be some movement next year because Robson's going as well.
That's right. Robson's going. So I don't. Are you going to get a season out of Clifford?
Malolo's probably going to retire
Well, are
soon.
you going to get a season out of Clifford this year? That what you got at the end of last season? I'm not. I'm not
I don't
sure.
know.
So I don't know whether. I don't know whether he's ready to go for 27 weeks of good quality footy. I mean, Tom Dearden, world class.
I'll tell you what's bizarre. They have 12 home games, like most teams. 0 Thursday, 1 Friday, 1 Sunday, 10 on Saturday.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
It's catering for
obviously that's
the crowd. Yeah,
prime
absolutely.
time.
Yep.
Away is sort of a bit of a mashup, but all right. Top 8 or not?
Just.
Just. So is that 7, 8?
Oh no, that's 8.
That's 8 at tops. Oh, Dicko, yeah.
And they are making the 8 on the last game of the season. They're getting
Well, you've
they're
heard it
getting the
here
dub.
first. You've heard it here first, Nostra fam. That is where it's at. Look, they're not making the 8. Put a line through them. Put a line through the Cowboys, everyone. Put a line through the Cowboys. Look, strengths. We spoke about drinking and Dearden. If they don't fire or there's an injury there, it's game over. And I think Dearden plays Origin. So when they lose Cotter and more than likely Dearden, geez.
Yeah, so I do. I mean, I must admit, and Robson will obviously play for New South Wales.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
I do feel like they've got Cohen Hess coming back, so I do feel like their forward pack will
true.
hold up against most teams.
I don't mind their forward pack.
Yeah, it's good.
Don't mind it.
It's good. Their bench is probably a little, apart from Taumalolo and McLean, who are on the bench on the predicted squad I'm looking at. I mean, they could start, but they're probably a little bit. Although I did like that Sam McIntyre. We both commented last year. He was a goal, right?
And I think he's improved from all reports on last season in terms of his fitness, and he'll be better, obviously, from playing more regularly.
It's just, are they going to come up with enough points and enough creativity outside of Drinkwater and Dearden to win games against the really top teams?
That's right. Yep.
And I don't know. Drinkwater and Dearden, yeah, great players and will create, but outside of them, I don't know where points are coming from.
I think they might, and I hope this doesn't happen, and you saw it in glimpses last year, they were really predictable with their style of footy.
Yeah.
It was Drinky and Dearden again, and blah after that. Like
it's going to have to be a bash up from their forwards and then quick play the balls off the back of that.
Yeah, because Robson's a great player. There's no doubt about it. And Nanai was integral to that. Sorry, not Nanai. Heel and Luke.
Yeah.
But they're going to be missing Nanai as well in Origin.
Yeah, during Origin. Yeah. Yep.
Anyways,
challenge.
Put a line through them. All right, on to the Eels. On to the Eels, Dicko.
You are ruthless.
Let's go through their. I mean, we have a lot of Eels fans, so shout out to the Eels Nostra fam out there. Thanks for supporting the page. We love yous. Stay positive. I'm optimistic about the Eels. I'll be honest. Penrith fan, optimistic about the Eels. That's saying something. Signings. Let's go through the signings. Josh Addo-Carr, big signing. Dean Hawkins adds a bit of depth if Moses gets chosen for Origin. Iongi coming across from Penrith, probably starting fullback. Zach Lomax, huge signing. Joash Papali'i, great young player, a little bit of depth there at fullback. I wouldn't say similar player to Iongi, but you get the drift. Yep. Jordan Semrani, look, I don't know too much about the guy, but believed to be a young player with a decent head on his shoulders. And Jack Williams coming across from the Cowboys, from the Sharks. Really like that one. He's been added to the leadership group as well. So, that's saying something and the influence that he's already had in this early stage. However, they have lost Blaze Talangi to Penrith. They've lost Micah Sevo, which I don't think is that big of a loss, I'll be honest. And I'm not that crash hot on Blaze Talangi. I'm just throwing it out there. Hopefully he grows. Good young player, but defensively garbage. So let's hope he improves there. Matt Arthur, wasn't playing anyway. Dejan Arce wasn't playing anyway. Regan Campbell-Gillard and Clint Gutherson are the big ones.
Yeah, massive.
Massive.
Almost the heartbeat of the Eels, really.
Yeah, so they need the players like Iongi and Geimer to step up, and Brendan Hands, who was playing hooker. Otherwise, they're in big trouble. But I'm really optimistic. I think they played really predictable style of footy under Brad Arthur, and that's no knock on Brad Arthur because I actually don't mind him as a coach in terms of he's a little bit like a Madge Maguire type style.
Yeah.
The Dylan Brown contract situation is interesting. I don't know whether that's player managers throwing bait out or genuine. But if he goes to another club, mate,
That's got to be the worst contract in history with the amount of options that are in that deal.
yeah. But there's no secret, mate. Lomax, Brown, and Moses are integral to their success. And unfortunately, both of Moses and Lomax will probably be playing Origin.
Yeah, I don't know about. You seem to be a bit bullish on them. I don't. Have they improved? Have they improved from last season in terms of?
I don't know if it's about improvement for them. I think it's about freshness and a new era of new coach, clean out the elderly, and let's see how we go.
Okay, so for me, there's questions about the fullback.
Experience is going to be a problem.
There's questions about the fullback, although yeah, good player, but hasn't played a full season at NRL level at fullback.
Only a handful.
Right. Zach Lomax at centre. Zach Lomax has played centre before for the Dragons. He was.
Do you think he plays centre?
I think he plays centre in this team, and I don't think centre's his best position. I think he's, with all respect to him, I think he's garbage at centre, personally.
I think
he has to play on the wing.
I think he plays wing.
Well, then who plays in the centres?
Simonson. Simonson. However you pronounce it.
But he's a better winger than centre.
I agree. But I would much rather have Lomax at wing and Simonson in the centres.
So you've signed Zach Lomax.
Mind you, it's like also attack versus defence.
So you've signed Zach Lomax on massive coin to play wing. You're kidding.
Potentially fullback if Iongi doesn't cut the mustard.
Okay. Well. You are kidding.
Here we go.
Halves are class when fit and when playing well. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Two of the best, really.
Two of the best. Forward pack looks okay. Question marks around the 9. Not sure what they're going to get from the 9. Again, full season in the NRL. Is it going to be enough creativity? You have to be creative out of the 9 these days. You have to draw markers in. And is there going to be enough creativity out of there?
Well, that's a tough one, isn't it? And look, I'll be honest. I think Brandon Hands actually did a decent job last year. And they actually started playing better when he was given pretty much that 80-minute role. Is he going to be better for the experience? Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Is he what they need to take their club to the next level? Don't know.
I also think they missed Jermaine Hopgood. He was out for basically from Origin. So I think they missed him.
He'll come back.
He'll come back.
Dynamite.
Sean Lane, Bryce Cartwright, Ryan Madison. I mean, these
They've
guys.
got some depth, you know. They do actually have some depth.
I don't know. I don't have them in the 8. I don't think they can beat enough good teams.
Yeah.
So I've got them missing out.
I'll be honest, I don't have them in the 8 either. I've got them just.
You don't have them in the 8, but you're bullish on them.
Just outside the 8. Well, let's not
put a line through them, ladies and gents.
Well, they'll pay for the wooden spoon last year, Dicko.
Put a line through them.
So nah. I'm bullish. I'm going to say 9 to 12. And I think most Eels fans, if they finish there, they'll be happy with that.
Yeah, probably. I mean,
it would probably be a pass mark. You know what I mean?
I mean, anything's better. And the first-year coach. I mean, don't forget Jason Rolls hasn't coached at this level before, so
yeah.
I reckon you're probably right. 9 to 12 sounds about right, but I just don't.
I'll tell you what we haven't done.
My sample size is not great on them, so I'm not sure. Well,
look, they do play the Panthers and the Storm twice, and the Bulldogs, and Manly. But they play Tigers, Raiders, Dragons, Knights twice. 0 5-day turnarounds.
So the draw's being kind to them.
And they only have to travel 15,000. The average is 25. So with a
Yeah,
bit of a helping hand from the NRL HQ there in the draw hub.
So what was their problem last year? Why didn't they go well last year? Injuries.
Well, they
right?
had a lot of injuries, and to be honest,
So that's their weakness, right? So that's
yeah,
their weakness in terms of being able to cover injuries. So have
I,
they
I would
addressed that?
argue that they would finish almost in the top 8 if they didn't have Moses and Hopgood injured.
So have they addressed the fact that if they get injuries to big players, they can replace them?
Big call.
So I don't think so. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like you need.
I've got to agree with you there.
I feel like you need probably what do you got? 17 on the field. You need probably 22 guys each or 21
Yeah,
guys each week that
and
could.
it's the injuries to key players though.
Correct. Yeah. Correct.
Like it's like Cleary and Isaiah Yeo being out for the year. Do you know what I mean? Like,
And that's going to be a point when we get to Penrith, for instance. That's going to be a big
yeah.
point when we look at their squad.
Well, imagine if Cleary and Yeo get injured.
I mean, it's the same with the West Tigers. If Jerome Luai gets injured, what's
Yeah,
what's happening? It's the same with any team. Like
yeah.
the
Any team.
Broncos, if Reece Walsh gets injured, I don't know.
Yeah,
But
Harry Grant and Jerome Hughes go down.
exactly. So, but just I feel like some teams are a little better equipped to
Yes,
cover those
they
losses
definitely
than
don't have
others.
the depth, but I will say that Moses and Hopgood are probably their top 3.
Yeah, two most probably influential players. Yeah, and
Yeah,
both
best
touch the
forward
ball the
and best
most. Yeah,
back.
yeah, agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see them making the 8, but they'll definitely be better than what they were last season.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. There you go, Nostra fam. You've heard it here first. Dizz and Dicko with that analysis. Now, Dicko, next week, we do cover Penrith, St. George, and the Roosters.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very interesting one. And then we wrap up, Penrith, St. George, and the Rabbitohs. Then we wrap up with the Roosters, Warriors, Tigers. So that'll be another 2 very interesting analysis episodes coming from us with the previews. Obviously, we'll see a bit of trial action this weekend. That's going to be super exciting. And the following weekend, we're going to see the rest of the teams play. So we should get a bit of a sneak peek at where the clubs are at.
Yep.
Thanks, Heath, for tuning in. Good stuff, Dicko. Love your work as always, mate. And
No worries, mate. Have a good one.
talk to you soon.